Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. A quick request. If you are watching our channel for the first time, please take a second or two and subscribe to the channel so that you are not left out whenever we release a video like this. Kindly turn on the notification bell. You can give this video a like so that it can reach many people, and you can also share our videos. Those who support us in one way or the other, those who share videos, those who give us comments, our subscribers, allow me to thank you in a very special way. We are here because of your unwavering support. William Ruto had the worst of his nightmares yesterday because the clergy ganged up against him to tell him the truth. The Reverend Wainaina did not spare him, and he handled William Ruto, pinpointing one by one areas of weaknesses that need to be rectified. And then the Nyeri Bishop, Catholic Nyeri Bishop, Anthony Muheria, told William Ruto that people need to sit down because no one has got the monopoly of running a nation. Once you're a president, you gather all your flock and people run together. You unite them. And when Wainaina gave that fiery speech, in fact, that was the sermon of the year, if you ask me. I just compare it to the sermon of Jesus on the mountain. Very many people in the government did not take it kindly. And as was expected, they were not going to sit down and let Wainaina get away with it. In fact, at some point, people were saying that Wainaina anafaa kujichunga. Maybe they might just try to arrest him or do something, but I don't think so, because William Ruto fears getting at loggerheads with the church. But what he did, he charged his bloggers against Sammy Wainaina, this great reverend, and they attacked him from all left, right, and center. And Itumbi, because I want to give you what Itumbi was telling Eric Wainaina, I mean not Eric, but Sammy Wainaina. But before we get to what Itumbi was telling him, I want us to look at exactly, because I have a breakdown of what the Reverend said. I don't want to play that clip because you saw it. For those who didn't, maybe we can play it at the end of the analysis. But briefly, this is what Eric was talking about. He said that he listens to the people and he knows the predicaments that Kenyans are going through. He talked about the depreciation of the Kenyan shillings that is affecting our economy. He talked about the cost of living that is very high, despite the fact that this government criticized the previous regime of not looking into our economy and not looking at the cost of living. He talked about high taxes that is now ravaging in the heart of Kenyans when prices of basic commodities are very high. He talked about grand corruption as this government. We wake up to, news of and headlines of different corruptions in the edible oil, the G2G deal. He talked about an uncaring ruling class who does not understand that Kenyans are suffering, and they even throw words around as if we didn't elect them to power. He also talked about the high fuel prices, and one of the things that caught my attention, he said that the controller of budget, revealed some startling information that in the month of July to December, the office of the president used 2.2 billion Kenya shillings. And when he calculated, he was saying that it means we are spending 23 million shillings per day in that office. I wonder what the president does with all this money. And that we are using 1 million Kenya shillings per hour. I mean, this is incredible. It is very unbelievable. And that is part of the grand corruption, because we can't understand what the president is doing in that office with that kind of money. He was also talking because, Wainaina has been in the UK for some time. So he was saying that while he was away, he also realized that we have turned, from the Kenya power and lightning to the Kenya power and darkness. The rampant and persistent blackouts, which the government cannot even tackle. Instead, they are pointing fingers to the previous regime. And he talked about a government that is hiding in Christianity, that when they were campaigning, they rode under the guise of men of God, and today they still say that their win was given by God. Yet after getting to power, the reverend was cautioning, you cannot use the name of the Lord to ascend to power, then you turn against the Lord, start engaging in corruption and not looking after your people. And he was saying that there is weakening of the opposition, that the voice of the opposition is not being heard as it should be. He was also talking about parliament being compromised, a parliament that is now used to ratify and rubber stamp whatever the executive wants. These are things that we have talked about every day. And the other day, Raila was saying Wetangula is not doing any good there. He also talked about the voice of the church is being silenced. We are not getting the church united against the illegalities and atrocities of the government. Some M-Pesa bishops are still dependent on handouts to support this government. They started with them and they still perpetuate all this kind of hiding in the church, and they support the government. And the reverend was also saying that while he was away, he heard of the president threatening Kenyans that he should not go to court to challenge the housing levy. He said he has a sword and will use it to rain on the people who are trying to go against his agenda. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I have given you that breakdown, I understand you had listened to that clip and I didn't want to play it again, is because of what Dennis Itumbi said. Dennis Itumbi went on his Twitter handle and is saying, Ndugu Reverent Canon Sammy Wainaina, as an Anglican, I find it very embarrassing when a refreshing, inspiring, and great preacher like you gets to the pulpit and presents opinions as facts and uses them as a critic of the government of Kenya. At least get system your facts first. Work in progress. That is the reason why I gave you a breakdown, because according to Dennis Itumbi, he is saying that what the reverend was saying are mere personal opinions. They are not facts, and that it is not proper to criticize a government using your personal opinions. And he's saying that the reverend should get facts. Now tell me, ladies and gentlemen, what is not factual in the breakdown that I've given you? Is it depreciation of the Kenyan shillings? Is it the cost of living, or the taxes, corruption, and caring? What is it that is not factual? Because if you ask me, the reverend had even the calculation of what the control of budget said, because the control of budget simply said we are spending 2.2 billion Kenya shillings in the office of the president from July to December. And with that, he gave us a breakdown that we're using 1 million per hour. And Kenyans, all Kenyans, seemed to have agreed with the church. It cannot be that it is only Dennis Itumbi and a clique of government staff, a clique of the ruling class, that feel that Kenya is on the right track. Do you remember what happened in Kisii? When one, I think that was the Nyaribari church member of parliament, who stood in front of Ruto and telling us that it is not the responsibility of the president to reduce the prices of fuel. And he was saying that people should respect Ruto and all the, this kind of bootlicking is something that we should run away from. The church, as Wainaina said, must wake up together, unite, and criticize the government so that the government can be reminded to come back on track. You know, the church is part and parcel of us. And like the Reverend was saying, they listen to the plight of the people, because the church is us. We are the people who go to church and form that community. If you listened to the Muheria, Anthony Muheria is saying that instead, because all this that were packaged well by Rev Wainaina, Anthony on his side is saying that the first thing that we need to acknowledge if we want to move forward is that there is a problem. We need to identify where the problem is, because you can never solve a problem if you don't believe that there is one. You can never help someone who does not believe that he has a problem. The other day in Kisii, William Ruto was saying that, you know, thank you for advising me, but when I was applying for this job, I knew what it entailed and I know how to tackle the problems that Kenyans go through. But when you try and juxtapose what is coming from Ruto's mouth and what is happening on the ground, there are two different things. And this is what Anthony Muheria is saying, that we can never leave the burden of running a government, the Kenyan government, to the president and people who feel that they're in power. But Anthony is saying that we have people who are learned, economists, stakeholders in the church, in the civil society group. People should come together and ensure that things are running in the right direction without looking at who is taking the political mileage. Itumbi represents this ruling class that believes that as long as their pockets are full, then there isn't any other problem. As long as they have their salaries and they are getting contracts and they are benefiting from the corruption that is in the government, everything is okay. We should not be blinded. Be your brother's keeper. I would not feel good when I can afford 6 meals in a day, yet my immediate neighbor cannot even afford 1 meal in a day. I want to complete by saying the following. Between Dennis Itumbi and the Reverend, who is popular with the rumors and propaganda, if we had to vote between the two, who is known for propaganda? Because Dennis Itumbi is saying that Reverend should look for system yama facts. The Reverend was speaking facts, while Dennis Itumbi is a man who is full of propaganda. And this cannot change the truth. The truth can only be changed when they work hard to change the economy. If you ask me, this government can never change this economy. Kenyans must find a way of trying to help themselves. I don't know what to think, but this is my take.